What is going on, you beautiful people? I am Ryan with the Accidental Overlander, and I have aired down my tire to make the dangerous trek all the way to the backyard so I can talk about my Smittybilt Air Compressor. Firstly, there are two versions of the Smittybilt Air Compressor. It's 2780 and 2781. I want to specify we are using 2781 today, which is the more intense of the two versions. I actually have both. If you just have regular street tires, even on an SUV, the 2780 version will work. It's about $130, whereas this one is $189 on Amazon right now. You can find it other places too, like 4-wheel parts and on the website, but it's actually more expensive, around $205 there. So I'll leave a link in the description for the Amazon one, since it's going to be cheaper for you guys. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to use it, and then since I've had it for 2 years, what I like about it, and maybe some of the things I dislike about it. So it does come in a nice sized bag that fits it all, but I do have one problem with it, which I'll get to with my con section. But in the bag, you'll have the air compressor, and the cables are connected to that. And this thing is about 20 pounds. And this 24-foot hose, so it's really easy to get to each tire. And then the connector gauge hose. Just take the connectors and you just pull back on this and then connect them, push it forward, and then it works. Then do the same thing with the gauge. And then this is like a screw on. So you just take this and we're just gonna screw it right onto the tire. It'll be real easy. Now we're gonna take these and hook them up to the battery just like you would jumper cables, positive and negative. Now the air compressor will work without you turning the car on just off the battery, but I wouldn't suggest you doing that, especially with doing all 4 tires, because it does have the possibility of draining your battery. So normally I turn my car on before I do this. Right now my tires are deflated to 18 psi. They've probably gone down to 16 psi because I can hear the air deflating out of them. I needed to get to 32 psi, and I'm kind of a weird guy. What I like to do is overinflate a little bit, because I don't want to unhook the air compressor and then have to rehook it, because sometimes the gauge can be a little iffy and a little off. But right now I'm going to turn the car on, and then we're going to start inflating this for probably 1 minute 45 seconds, and then we'll see where it's at. Right. So that's just what I found to work for me and my tires. I give it that 1 minute 45. Kind of goes up 1 or 2 psi above what I want it to do. So I know when I release it, I'm not going to lose too much. And then it gives me something to do as I start the other tire. And I also know if I went lower than 18, if I went to 10 or 15 psi, then 1 minute and 45 seconds wouldn't cut it. I would need to go closer to 2 minutes, maybe even a little higher, messing around with that. So I've had this for 2 years, so I'm gonna go over just a couple things that I like about it and dislike about it. Alright, so this Smittybilt air compressor is priced at $190, which I think might even be less than I got it 2 years ago, which I didn't know was possible. But I think the price is fair. It's worked for 2 years. I've never had any problems with it. I know it does have a overheat shutoff, and I've never had a problem with that. So it's a product that I've bought. and it works. It does what it's supposed to do. So I love that about it. I know some people don't like how it screws onto the tire and they change it to something a little faster, but I don't mind it. I like how it screws on. I know once I've screwed it on that it's going to stay on and not fall off. It's not too hard to unscrew after I've used it, so I don't mind doing those things. I like how I don't have to upgrade any of the materials. That 20-foot cord can easily go around to every single tire. Now getting on to a couple of the things that I don't like about it. And right off the bat is going to be that tire gauge on there. I know some people say there's a spot on. It's not so far off that you can't look at it if you wanted to. I certainly looked at it in the beginning to kind of go off of it, but as I got the timing down, I didn't really need to look at it anymore. Another thing that I don't like about the tire gauge is it goes all the way up to 150 PSI, which that part isn't the problem, but rather than it give you increments of 1, it's giving you increments of 5. Even if it was super accurate, it would be hard to read if I was really on 32 PSI, because there technically is no 32 PSI. I'm trying to find in between 30 and 35, which isn't clearly marked on there, which makes it difficult to use even if it is very accurate. One thing that also can be not great about this air compressor, and probably most air compressors out there, is they get hot. And when you're doing all 4 tires, if it's a hot day, you have to worry about it shutting off, which would kind of put you at a standstill. You'd have to wait for it to cool down to use again. There are times where it's so hot, I almost want to wait 15 minutes before I even just put it back in the bag. I don't want to put all the components really close together and take the chance of maybe that hose melting or something like that, which is going to bring me into the last con of this air compressor, the bag. While the bag is essentially big enough and fits all the components in it very easily, what I noticed with my last smaller air compressor is they gave me a bag where I can put the air compressor in one part of the bag, and it gave me a whole nother pocket to stick the hose and the connector in it. So I didn't have to worry about the compressor and the hose touching inside the bag. Whereas I used to just be able to put the compressor in the bag, and I knew that the hose would be able to fit in its pocket because that's what it was made for. And that part was really nice about it. And I wish they did that with this bag here. So that is going to be it on this Smittybilt air compressor. Remember, I will have a link in the description for the Amazon if you want to check it out. No affiliation, I'm not getting any money for it. And also, if you have any questions on the air compressor, how to use it, how I like it, anything specific, don't be afraid to email me or ask me. I am always here. That is why I'm here, to answer those questions. And I will see you next time.